In the cold, metallic halls of the Galaxy Council, tension pulsed like a storm. Representatives from 72 alien civilizations gathered in the amphitheater-shaped chamber, their glowing insignias hovering above each seat, forming a constellation of power. At the center of the chamber stood a massive holographic projection of Earth, rotating slowly, silently mocking the pride of empires thousands of years older. The reason for the emergency session was clear to all. Earth had advanced too quickly. In less than a century, humans had gone from struggling with orbital launches to mastering faster-than-light travel, piercing through the very boundaries of what the Council had long believed was possible for a young species. But it wasn't just the speed of Earth's progress that disturbed them. It was the manner of it. Without Council aid, without treaties, or permissions, humanity had forged pacts with fringe species, uplifted broken civilizations, and even terraformed rogue planets along the Orion frontier. Earth wasn't following the rules, it was rewriting them. The Council had never been challenged by a species so new, so raw, and so unpredictable. And unpredictability was something they feared. The Arvanti Dominion, proud and towering with skin like obsidian glass, led the motion. Their ambassador Kvelt addressed the chamber with a voice both elegant and cold. Humanity's growth is reckless. Their reach extends too far, too fast. We must warn them, firmly. If they do not stop, we will act as one. Nods rippled through the chamber, resentment mixed with unease. Earth, a world once labeled primitive, was now altering the balance of power across star systems. The vote passed with a chilling majority. It was decided. Earth would receive a formal ultimatum. Cease all expansion beyond the solar system, halt interspecies alliances, and agree to Council oversight. If not, consequences would follow. The responsibility of delivering this message was given to Ambassador Kvelt himself. He saw it as an honor. He believed Earth would bend. What other choice would they have? When Kvelt arrived at the Earth Lunar Embassy, he expected intimidation to do the work. Dressed in ceremonial armor and flanked by guards, he entered the main conference hall where 4 human representatives waited, calm, unsmiling, and dressed in simple uniforms. The room was sterile, white, and quiet. No grandeur, no visible weapons. The humans listened as Kvelt delivered the Council's warning in full. Not one interrupted, not one blinked. When he was done, there was no outrage, no protest, only a short pause before a female officer named Commander Renee simply nodded and said, "We acknowledge your message." Kvelt found this reaction oddly lacking. He took it as a sign of fear. Perhaps humanity had finally realized its limits. He turned and left, unaware that hidden in the folds of that silence was something else. Intention. As Kvelt's ship departed lunar orbit, a secure transmission was routed across an encrypted solar relay, bouncing off satellites hidden behind Saturn's rings. It reached Station Helios, a massive space fortress hidden in the shadow of Saturn itself. Inside, Admiral Layla Tran stood before a wide observation window, watching the gas giant rotate slowly beneath them. She wore no medals, no symbols of rank, only a thin black coat and a data slate in her hand. Around her, the bridge team worked in silence, every action practiced, every system alert. A message had just arrived from the moon. The Council had issued their threat. Layla didn't need a debate. She didn't need more time. She tapped the screen on her slate, and with a single command, she activated Protocol Aegis. Deep beneath, the icy crust of Neptune's largest moon, machinery came alive. On Mars, dozens of dormant satellites blinked into awareness. In the Oort cloud, cloaked signal interceptors rotated toward alien frequencies. Protocol Aegis wasn't just a response plan, it was the final phase of Earth's hidden defense doctrine. It had been prepared for decades in secret, under every diplomatic handshake and peaceful agreement. Earth hadn't grown arrogant, it had grown ready for a moment like this. The Council had made a grave error. They thought Earth would kneel. But humanity had not survived its own brutal history by surrendering. They had risen by adapting, by enduring and by refusing to let anyone decide their place in the universe. On board Helios, Admiral Tran stared out into the void, her voice low but certain. Begin readiness drills across all relay systems. Quiet. Protocols only. No escalations. Not yet. Her officers responded instantly, spreading orders across outposts light years away. Humanity would not strike first, but they would never be caught unprepared. As stars twinkled in the distance, something deeper stirred behind those lights, an unspoken understanding that Earth was not a world to threaten lightly. The Council had warned Earth, but they had not truly understood who they were dealing with. And by the time they realized the truth, it might already be too late. The moment the Galaxy Council's ultimatum was broadcasted across the known universe, waves of anticipation rippled through countless star systems. Every civilization watched closely, expecting Earth to buckle under the pressure to issue a formal apology, or at least ask for negotiations to avoid conflict. They expected fear, hesitation, or some sign of weakness. But Earth's response stunned them all. A single, simple message was sent back through the vast communication networks, delivered by a quiet, calm human diplomat named Marcus Reed during a live broadcast from Earth's capital. We will not kneel. The words echoed like a challenge, firm and unyielding, carrying an unspoken promise of resilience and strength. Immediately, tensions across the galaxy surged. The Council, unwilling to accept defiance, mobilized a powerful military flotilla, sending dozens of warships to Alpha Centauri, aiming to establish a blockade that would cut off human expansion into new star systems. The Council's fleet moved, swiftly, their ships gleaming with the promise of authority and control. But as they reached the outskirts of the system, an unsettling silence fell. One by one, the ships simply disappeared. No explosions, no distress signals, no wreckage. They vanished as if erased from existence, leaving behind only an empty void where power once loomed. Panic spread quickly through the Council's ranks. Command centers scrambled to send new messages, deploy rescue teams, and seek explanations. Was it a new weapon? A trap? The unknown terrified them. Yet from Earth there was no boastful claim of victory, no declaration of power. Instead, there was silence, deliberate and unyielding. Behind this silence, however, a secret was awakening. Deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, hidden in vast underground complexes shielded from prying eyes and orbital scans, Project Horizon was coming online. This project had been humanity's greatest secret for decades. A sprawling network of quantum artificial intelligence systems created in the darkest hours of past conflicts, designed not just to defend Earth, but to predict and neutralize threats before they could ever manifest. The AI was far beyond any previous technology, able to analyze countless variables and react faster than any living commander. Project Horizon wasn't a weapon, it was a sentinel watching over the galaxy's balance. Humanity had not simply grown stronger, it had transformed into something new, a force that could shape the fate of entire star systems without firing a single shot. Meanwhile, the Council still clung to the belief that they controlled the future. They believed their fleets, their treaties, and their centuries of dominance were unshakable. But they were wrong. The loss of their fleet was only the first sign that the old order was breaking down. Behind closed doors, Earth's leader spoke quietly, carefully, their minds always several steps ahead. Admiral Layla Tran monitored incoming data streams from Project Horizon, her expression calm but focused. She understood that this was only the beginning, that the true power of humanity lay not in raw firepower, but in patience, precision, and unbreakable resolve. The galaxy was watching and the Council's fear was growing, but Earth remained steady, ready for whatever came next. The age of human subjugation was over. The message was clear. Earth would not kneel, not to threats, not to power, and certainly not to fear. The Galaxy Council reconvened under a storm of anger and fear that rippled through their ancient chamber like wildfire. The once proud assembly, made up of representatives from 72 civilizations, was now fractured and restless, their once orderly debates replaced by sharp accusations and desperate pleas. The humiliation of losing an entire fleet without a single shot had shattered their confidence, and many demanded swift retribution. The air was thick with tension as a bold motion was introduced. A full-scale preemptive strike on Earth using the Council's most feared weapons, ancient energy devices forbidden for centuries due to their devastating power. These weapons could annihilate entire planets with a single blast, leaving nothing but silence and ruin. The vote was bitter and divided, but in the end, it passed by the narrowest margin, sealing the fate of the Council's aggression. Plans were immediately set in motion. Ships were armed, coordinates locked, and command codes prepared. Yet, as the Council scrambled to begin the attack, strange and unsettling events began to unfold across their vast territories. Communication systems started failing without explanation. Encrypted messages were lost or distorted. Sensors and defense grids exhibited strange anomalies that no one could understand or counter. In one of the most powerful Council worlds, the orbital defense network suddenly turned inward, disabling itself completely before the entire planet went silent, cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Panic spread quickly, but no clear cause emerged. Meanwhile, deep inside Earth's command center on Station Helios, Admiral Layla Tran calmly watched these developments unfold through live data feeds. Her voice was steady as she told her officers, "They voted, and so did we." Hidden for years in the darkest reaches of known space, humanity's Sentinel network, a vast fleet of stealth drones invisible to all sensors, came alive. These drones were not weapons of mass destruction but precision instruments of control and warning. Within seconds, key military assets, command centers, and strategic installations across the Council's territories began to vanish. Targets were struck with surgical accuracy, leaving no civilian casualties or unnecessary destruction. Entire fleets, weapons caches, and communication hubs blinked out of existence as if erased by an unseen hand. The Council was powerless to stop it or even understand how it happened so quickly and cleanly. Then, a message arrived, broadcast directly to the Council's central chamber. "The war you wanted has already ended." This was not retaliation. This was restraint. Those words echoed in the stunned silence that followed. The Council members realized they were no longer masters of the galaxy, but pawns in a game far beyond their control. Humanity had not responded, with rage or fear, but with discipline and overwhelming power cloaked in mercy. The old order, built on fear and dominance, was crumbling. Earth had shown the galaxy what true strength meant, not destruction for revenge, but the will to protect, to prevent war before it began. In that moment, the Council's leaders faced a painful truth. Their era of unchecked control was over. And a new chapter in galactic history had just begun, one where humanity stood not as a threat, but as a guardian of peace and order. Chaos spread like wildfire throughout the Galaxy Council as panic gripped every corner of its vast dominion. Fleets that once inspired fear and commanded respect were neutralized before they could even leave their docks, silent, powerless, and unable to mount any defense. The loss was swift and total. Planetary governors, once confident in their authority and backed by overwhelming military power, began to resign in terror, unwilling to face the unstoppable force that had rendered their defenses obsolete. On countless worlds, civilians who had long lived under the shadow of Council rule began to raise their voices, demanding peace with Earth. They had witnessed their leaders crumble and realized the futility of resisting a power that could erase entire fleets and systems without firing a single shot. The once mighty Great Chamber of the Council descended into chaos. Members shouted over one another, accusations flying like daggers, each blaming rival factions for their sudden downfall. The unity and order that had held the Council together for centuries shattered under the weight of fear and desperation. Just as the uproar reached a fever pitch, a sudden and eerie silence fell. One by one, the sophisticated systems that powered the chamber began to fail. Holographic projections flickered and vanished. The bright lights dimmed to near darkness. The silence was broken by a single human voice, calm and resolute, echoing through the darkened hall. Power used to control others always ends in collapse. The words resonated like a verdict, signaling the end of an era. Behind the scenes, the Council's central AI support systems, once the invisible backbone of its authority, were rapidly dissolving. A powerful virus, hidden deep within the warning message Earth had sent weeks before, was quietly dismantling their control. These AI systems, designed to manage everything from communication networks to defense protocols, were melting down, their functions ceasing one after another. Within minutes, the very framework that held the Council together as a political entity ceased to exist. No battles had been fought, no weapons fired. The collapse was silent, precise, and complete. Humanity had achieved what no one thought possible, not through brute force or overwhelming armies, but through intelligence, restraint, and unwavering resolve. The Galaxy Council, once the supreme power in the known universe, was erased from influence not with destruction, but by a quiet, unstoppable wave of change. The old order was gone, leaving a new path open for peace, cooperation, and a future shaped by a species once underestimated and now quietly victorious. In the vast emptiness left behind by the collapse of the Galaxy Council, many expected chaos, brutal scramble for power, old rivalries flaring back to life, and countless worlds falling into lawlessness. But something remarkable happened instead. Earth did not move to fill the void with conquest or dominance. Rather, it opened its doors wide, offering cooperation and partnership to every species willing to join a new vision for the galaxy. Former Council worlds, long oppressed by fear, corruption, and endless political games, found themselves free for the first time in centuries. Instead of demanding tribute or submission, Earth shared its technology openly, helped build medical clinics on struggling planets, and offered resources to rebuild devastated ecosystems and economies. The human spirit of generosity and practical support spread quickly, sowing hope and trust across countless star systems. Out of the ruins of the old order rose the Galactic Accord, a new alliance unlike any before it, without a throne or a single supreme ruler. It was founded on shared goals, mutual respect, and the belief that no species should ever hold unchecked power again. The first official meeting of this accord was held on Mars, a symbolic choice representing humanity's role not as conquerors, but as humble organizers of a collective future. Representatives from 112 different species gathered in the Grand Hall, each bringing their unique cultures, histories, and hopes for peace. When it was Admiral Layla Tran's turn to speak, she addressed the assembly with quiet strength. "We're not here to rule. We're here to make sure no one ever rules alone again." Her words carried the weight of Earth's journey. 1. From a species once mocked and feared to one that now stood as a beacon of stability and unity, across the stars, whispers spread. Not tales of Earth's overwhelming power, but stories of its principles, its refusal to use strength for oppression, and its dedication to peace. The galaxy had learned a profound lesson. The species once overlooked, ridiculed, and threatened had become its greatest force for harmony. But amid the growing friendships and new alliances, one truth remained clear and unspoken by many but understood by all. Threaten Earth again, and there will be no second chance. The galaxy's new order had been born not just from technology or strategy, but from the unwavering spirit of a people who refused to bow or break. Their rise was a promise, a future where cooperation and respect prevailed, and where the shadows of old empires would never again darken the stars.